Well, I got to ask it again. Or you asked it in the Kelsey video, but we got to ask it again. Kittle or Kelsey?
I mean, obviously, I made the rankings. I'm team. What's up, Fackers? We are back with our Fantasy and Chill 101, counting down the top 101 fantasy football players for the 2020 season. Number 26 on our countdown is tight end for the San Francisco 49ers, George Kittle. He is our first ranked tight end. Last year, he
Damn.
finished as tight end number 2. So a few of his stats last year, he had 85 catches for 1,053 yards and 5 touchdowns on 107 targets. He scored 185 fantasy points, an average of 13.2 points per game. All right, so over the last 2 seasons, as far as tight end rankings go, he has finished 4th or better in targets, receptions, yards, and receiving yards after the catch. But all that is to be expected with the way he's performed the last few years. Tight ends, what is touchdowns? That says TDs, not TEs. I put touchdowns on here because he did have 13 end zone targets the last 2 seasons. Just kind of a lot for a tight end, but only had 5 touchdowns. Maybe that should go up this year. You would think a little bit, maybe more to Kelsey usually gets 8 to 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think Kelsey had 5 last year too, though. But
I think he did actually, but hopefully Kittle's touchdowns will go up a little bit. And he is a little bit younger than Kelsey. We hate to just keep comparing them back and forth, but it's kind of what we have to do.
That's what the video is going to be.
Yeah. So I put he's not slowing down. He's only 26 years old. He's still right in his prime, whereas Kelsey's getting up there into that 30 range. So just a little bit younger, a little bit fresher legs. He's more explosive than Kelsey. Only problem is he has Jimmy G throwing the ball, whereas Kelsey has Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I don't know what's really to be said in this video that we already haven't said for Travis Kelce. I mean, you did say Jimmy G's throwing him the ball, which one's a $500 million quarterback, the other has 2 Super Bowl rings. Or does he? Yeah, I think he does. But yeah, Jimmy G sucks.
Yeah.
Jimmy G sucks compared to Patrick. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's one comparison you can make when you're trying to determine if you're going to take Kelsey or Kittle, because that's really what it's going to be. It's in your draft. If you're taking a tight end that early, it's either going to be Kelsey or Kittle. You're not going anyone else, okay? So get that thought out of your head about drafting Mark Andrews or Darren Waller. You're not taking them that early. And if you are, it's going to be one of these guys.
Didn't even mention Zach Ertz in that.
I mean, you already know how I feel about Zach Ertz, okay?
Okay, so fantasy football, we always talk about opportunity, things like that. I mean, Kittle and Kelsey are both kind of a huge opportunity. The only thing I'll say is that Kelsey is in just a bunch of weapons around him.
Yeah.
Well, he's 135 targets or whatever last year. He's going to get the target. It's just there are more options. But it kind of balances out because Mahomes throws a lot more than Garoppolo does. But if you look at the 49ers, Kittle is by far the top target, the only elite receiving target they have.
Oh, yeah.
Deebo Samuel came on strong last year, but he's hurt to start the year, and he's still not an elite wide receiver. So Kittle is just so much higher than any other option they have, whereas on the Chiefs, you have Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, and we assume Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be an elite receiving option out of the backfield.
Yeah, I guess the 49ers did add some younger receivers. They had Jalen Hurd, and then they had Brandon Ayuk, who was hurt last year, but you're not thinking they're going to come on and start stealing targets away from Kittle, who, we're mentioning right now, top 2 tight end, top 1 tight end in our rankings. He's going to be a beast this year again. I think he was top 5 in yards after the catch in the whole entire league, not just tight ends.
Yeah.
So when he gets the ball, he has like a high scoring potential. He's like the Derrick Henry of tight ends. He can take it to the house. I mean, that's something Kelsey can't do.
Yeah, this is a simple view of it, but I was going to say, when you think of Kelsey and his highlights, it's like him catching it, kind of going down pretty immediately. When I think of Kittle highlights, I see him catching the ball over the middle and breaking it for like 30, 40 yards after the catch. Like, you see that happen so many times. And he's so explosive. And if those touchdowns could just go up a little bit.
I think if I remember last year, he had, because I owned him last year, and I just remember him getting like at least 2 or 3 touchdowns overturned. And it was like some holding penalty, like off to the other side of the field. Like, it didn't even matter at all. So, yeah, he should have had at least 7 last year, I think. But I could definitely see that going up this year, too. Along with Kelsey's. Kelsey had 5, too, last year. So that's probably going to go up as well.
Kittle he had that issue where he missed a couple games last year in the
Yeah.
middle of the season. I forget what was the injury. Remember what it
Was
was?
it a knee? I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. It might have been a knee.
But he did miss a couple games, but I don't. He should be fully healthy. I haven't heard anything about him still being affected by that.
Labrum? The fuck that is? That just reminds me. This has nothing to do with fantasy, but that play in the Saints game last year. Do you remember that? Was that the Saints game?
Yeah, where he caught him on like the left sideline and just
fucking took
everybody.
it. Yeah. That just shows you what kind of guy or what kind of player Kelce or Kittle is. Like Kelsey's not doing that. So the lack of, I wouldn't say the lack, because I mean the 49ers are going to throw the ball a little bit, but they were second to last in passing plays per game last year. But the lack of passing that to do, Kittle's going to make up for that in yards after the catch. Yeah. So he might not get as many targets as Kelsey's going to get, but the targets he does get, he'll go for more yards.
He only had 107 targets, but he caught 80 balls. Like that's rare or very efficient, especially for a receiver tight end. Real quick before we wrap this up, we need to talk about where he's being drafted, where we would target him. You have his ADP pulled up?
I can get it, but like I said, with the Kelce video, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. What we're going to talk about with Kittle is if you go, well, in y'all's words, I guess Britt's not here, so I'll speak for him. But if you go tight end early, you don't want to go quarterback early because
it just rarely works out.
Yeah,
I will say, even though our champion did it last year, but it was kind of fluky. But yeah, but Kelsey, we have him ranked Kelsey and Kittle in the mid to high 20s. That's just because I think you're finding maybe better value with those running backs and receivers ahead of him. But if you want Kelsey and Kittle, you're going to probably have to take him in the second round. That's where they've been going pretty much in all the mocks.
Kittle is 20th overall, second tight end behind Kelsey. Kelsey's going 17th. So
right toward the end of the second round, early third is where he's going to go. And like both, we've talked about it before. They put up borderline wide receiver 1 numbers. They're not going to you're not going to draft and be like, man, I wish I didn't draft Kelsey or Kittle. They're sucking. Like they're going to be very good for you. It's just you got to think about what running back and receivers you're missing out there and how that compares to the running back and receivers that you're going to get in the 4th and 5th to make up for that. That's the only decision you have to make.
That's why those mock drafts are important, though. I kind of stay away from mock drafts because most of the time they're not going to play out the way you think they are. But a good time to do them is taking like a tight end early or quarterback early and see how you can kind of fill out your lineup by doing that. Because if you just go running back early, first 3 rounds, like you're going to have a decent team probably, but it's not. You're not going to get any like curveballs in the draft.
Use the mock to try out your strategies. Where if you want to do a no RB, if you want to do quarterback early, tight end, or like try out those different things. Like the way it's going to go if you just go traditional running back receiver, how most people go. So.
Yeah. Real quick, was there some rumor out there or something happened where the 49ers got another tight end? Or did I just maybe I saw something else. Probably not. Maybe it was something I don't know. I might have been dreaming or something. But
probably.
All right. One last thing. Well, I got to ask it again. Or you asked it in the Kelsey video, but we got to ask it again. Kittle or Kelsey?
I mean, obviously, I made the rankings. I'm Team Kittle this year.
I want to play devil's advocate and somewhat maybe convince myself to take Kelsey because he is on the better offense. They're going to be throwing the ball more. Got the better QB. So I said Kittle last video, and I think it's going to be one of those like where I'm at the draft, the pick comes to me, and I just have to decide on the fly because I don't know. I'm so borderline with him, but.
And like we said, I have them right next to each other in the rankings. They're going to finish very close. They're going to put up similar numbers. You're not going to make a choice between.
Yeah, look at their numbers last year. They were like pretty much the same. And Kittle missed 2 games, so.
Very similar. So George Kittle, our first ranked tight end, number 26 overall. We out.